even if there wasn't a glare. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janaballava Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallava Girivardhari Jasodanandana Rajachana Ranjana Jasodanandana Rajachana Ranjana Jamunatiravanachari Jamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Jamunatiravanachari Jamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pribrajya Kachacha Ashtotar Srimad Abhay Charan Arvindam Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Kori Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Iskan Bhiviti Sangstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Shrimati Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samveda Bhakti Vinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 47. The Song of the Bee. Text number 49. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sarich Chaila Vinod Desha. Sarich Chaila Vinod Desha. Gavo Venuravahime. Gavo Venuravahime. Sankarshana Sahayena. Sankarshana Sahayena. Krishnena Charita Prabhu. Krishnan Acharita Prabhu. Sarich Chaila Vinodesha. Gavo Venuravahime. Sankashan Sahayayena. Krishnan Acharita Prabhu. Sadich Chaila Vinodesha. Gavo Venuravahima. Amen. Sankarshana Sahayena. Krishnan Acharita Prabhu. Sadich Chaila Vinodesha. Gavo Venuravahime. Sankarshana Sahayena. Krishnan Acharyata Prabhu. Sadich Chaila Sankarshana Sahayena. Krishnan Charitava Prabhu. Sadich Chaila Vinodesha. Gavo Venuravahime. Sankarshana Sahayena. Krishnan Acharita Prabhu. Ladies. Saricchaila Vinodesha Gavo Vinuimarame Sankarshana Sahayena Krishnan Acharita Prabhu Saricchaila Vinodesha Gavo Vinurava Eme Sankarshana Sahayena Krishnan Acharita Prabhu Sarit rivers Shaila hills Vana Uddesha the areas of the forest Gavaha cows Venuravaha flute sounds Ime all these Sankarshana Lord Balaram Sahayana whose companion Krishnana by Krishna Acharitaha utilized Prabhu O Master Uddhava. Translation. Dear Uddhava Prabhu, when Krishna was here in the company of Sankarshan, he enjoyed all these rivers, hills, forests, cows, and flute sounds. Puna puna smarayanti nanda gopa sutambata Sri Niketaistha padakaya Vishmartum naiva shaknumaha. All these remind us constantly of Nanda's son. Indeed, because we see Krishna's footprints, which are marked with divine symbols, we can never forget him. Gatya Lailataya Yodhar Hasa Lila Velokanai Madhya Kirahrita Dhiya Katam Tam Vishvaram. O Uddhava, how can we forget him when our hearts have been stolen away by the charming way he talks, his generous smile and playful glances, and his honey-like words? Text number 52. He Nata, He Ramanata, Brajanata Artinasanaha, Magnam Udara Govinda, Gokulam Vrijinarnivat. O Master of the Goddess of Fortune, O Master of Braj, O Destroyer of all sufferings, Govinda, please lift your Goloka out of the ocean of distress in which it is drowning. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti presents the following insight into this scene. Someone might propose to the gopis, why don't just go somewhere else? Leave Vrindavan, and then you won't have to see these rivers and mountains and forests. Cover your eyes with your garments. Use your intelligence to lead your minds to some other thought, and thus forget Krishna. The gopis answer this suggestion in the previous verse by stating, we no longer possess our intelligence, for Krishna has taken it away by his supreme beauty and charm. Now in the present verse, the feelings of the gopis become so strong that they disregard Uddhava and turning towards Mathura, address Krishna himself with humble cries. They address Krishna as Bhadranath because in the past, young Krishna performed many inconceivable pastimes to protect his beloved village people, such as lifting Govardhan Hill and destroying many monstrous demons. In this heart-rendering verse, the gopis cry out to Krishna to remember the wonderful, sweet relationship they once enjoyed together as innocent village people. Indeed, Sri Krishna would lovingly take his father's cows, and the gopis appealed to him to remember these duties and return so that he could resume them. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Vijnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Ganim Yat Kripa Tadaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramanandamadavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram. So, this pastime of Uddhava going to Vrindavan to deliver a message to the inhabitants of Braj. Krishna wanted that Uddhava, because Uddhava was a great devotee of Krishna, his relative, plus in Dwarka, he was always remembering Krishna and serving Krishna in various ways. And he had tears in his eyes. He was on a high level of Krishna prema. But still, he wasn't aware of the level of bhakti that the gopis and the other cowherd boys and Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai had. So he sent them on the pretext of delivering a message to actually see what is the level of bhakti of the devotees of Braj. Actually, the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are meant to develop this Braj bhakti. Okay? There's different bhakti. The devotees in Vaikuntha, they have bhakti, but their bhakti is an awe and reverence, depending upon, there's also different levels of awe and reverence bhakti that's there in Vaikuntha. All have prema, they have love for the Supreme Lord, but there's different varieties even in that relationship with the Supreme Lord. So it's understood by the great acharyas, especially the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, that the highest level of bhakti is there in Braj, in Vrindavan. Why is that? Why is that the highest level? Well, we understand that in Vaikuntha, the level of bhakti is mixed with the feelings of awe and reverence of the Lord. They have a great philosophical understanding about the power of the Lord's different energies, and how the Lord is creating everything, maintaining everything in such a magnificent way. Just to give us an idea, so that we understand, we don't understand, is that Lord Brahma, he lives for a very long time. He creates everything. You know, one of Brahma's days is 1,000 of the Dibya Yugas. Right? That means Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. That span of time, multiplied by 1,000, is Lord Brahma's day. Right? It's a long time. And he has an equal night. And he lives for 100 years. You can, how long is Brahma's, from the time he creates to the time everything is dissolved in the pralaya, the dissolution? It's a long time. But that all happens in one breath of Mahavishnu. Take a breath. Did it take very long? According to our conception, just a moment. And Krishna's breath is also just a moment for him. But in our calculation of time, it's a huge expanse. So many things happen. Right? And that Mahavishnu is an expansion of the Supreme Lord. So the devotees in Vaikuntha, they are absorbed in Krishna's potencies and his powers and his magnificence. But the devotees in Braj, they're not so much concerned that Krishna is God. They don't even consider Krishna is God. Once Prabhupada said, even if Krishna is not God, still we love him. So that's the devotees in Braj. They're thinking Krishna is my friend, my gaonwala, my village friend, right? And they just know they love Krishna. He's all attractive. The gopis are giving some hints here. That Krishna was in Vrindavan and he was roaming here and there with his brother and attracting their minds with his smiles and his sweet words. So there's a special kind of relationship with Krishna and his devotees in Vrindavan. And the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu they're meant to understand that. You can't, by your endeavor, understand that. Right? Of course, we can endeavor to try to understand it, but to actually enter into the understanding of Krishna's relationship with his devotees in Vrindavan, it requires mercy. It requires kripa. By the mercy of the acharyas, by the mercy of the spiritual master, when one is sufficiently purified, or somehow or another becomes a recipient of this special causeless mercy, then you can understand. Otherwise, it's not possible. No one can understand. To really understand the mood of the gopis, we can get a hint, that they're disappointed that Krishna has left. But this same disappointment, the same idea that, is he ever going to come back? Right? It's an attachment in separation, vipralamba bhava. Right? Again, described by Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas as a very elevated bhava, or relationship with Krishna. The 6 Goswamis in Vrindavan, they had this bhava. Right? They were, in the prayers to the 6 Goswamis, it's described they were going everywhere, looking for Krishna. Is Krishna in Govardhan Hill? Is he in the forest? Everywhere looking for Krishna. Never talks about how they found him. They were looking, always looking, everywhere, expecting, is he around that tree? Where is he? Service and separation, love and separation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's 18 years in Jagannath Puri was in that mood. He was absorbed in that vipralaha bhava, in that mood of separation. That's the essence of Jagannath Puri Dham. It's service to the Lord in separation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was relishing that. So, I can speak for myself. In the extremely neophyte condition that I'm in, it's ludicrous that I could even possibly speak about this with such a high level of Krishna bhakti. But we should also consider ourselves very fortunate to have an opportunity to try to understand this, because it's such a quintessential part of our Gaudiya Vedanta philosophy. But many people, they try to prematurely claim that they're on that level, that they understand this, without actually having the special causeless mercy to understand it. It requires special causeless mercy. So the question can be raised, how do we attract, the Lord's causeless mercy? Well, Srila Rupa Goswami mentions in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it's lalisa. One has to be very much eager to have that thing. Right? When one becomes very overtaken and possessed with the idea that I have to, obtain that Braj Bhakti, that's like the ticket. That's the qualification. In this material world, people are overwhelmed with many things. They got to have a Mercedes-Benz. They're going to work hard. They're going to get it. They're overwhelmed with it. And, it used to be a Cadillac, but I don't know if Cadillacs are in style now. They got to, they're obsessed with it, So it's something like that the devotee becomes, and I can tell you, I'm not even close to there. I'm just parroting what I've heard here. The devotee has that attachment to come to that perfect stage of Braj Bhakti. However, there are certain things that we can do to help us develop that desire, or to have the desire to have that desire. Certain things you can do. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Nam Chintamani says that these pastimes of Krishna and Radharani and the Gopis, it descends in the Kali Yuga in the form of Harinam Sankirtan. Last night, the devotees were chanting the holy name of Krishna in Kirtan, and spontaneously they were joyful, they were blissful. Right? The outside karmis, they never experience that kind of bliss. Right? They'll dance and chant if they're intoxicated, maybe. Or maybe they'll fight with each other or something. Right? But they require some external thing. Right? Well, here's something that's inherent in each and every individual. It's just waiting to be tapped. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so magnanimous and so merciful that he's introduced this Harinam Sankirtan so that people can awaken their original Krishna consciousness. They can understand that they're not this body. Cheto dharpana marjanam. And they can clear the mirror of the mind to awaken their real identity as eternal spirit souls. But it doesn't stop there. By chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. They obtain so much knowledge, so much detachment. They understand they're not their body, they understand they're part and parcel of Krishna, but it doesn't stop there. This chanting of the holy name can take one all the way up to the highest level of bhakti, Braj Bhakti. The bhakti of the Gopi's separation from Krishna, which is being read about right here, and Uddhava is experiencing, seeing for himself. And we're, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, that is also being put before us. If we catch up the idea, if we're able to see the importance of this, then we can try in our lives to obtain it. Again, it's not by our work, our effort, but by kripa. But one way to obtain that kripa is to please Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He benedicted with Braj Bhakti so many living entities just by his presence, just by his merciful glance. So we can attract that mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by trying to spread the Krishna consciousness movement, by engaging everyone, wherever we go, whoever we meet in Krishna consciousness, we can attract the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if we have the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we'll be able to actually understand and enter into these pastimes. Now we're kind of like bees that are on the outside of the honey jar, licking the outside of the jar. You know, we know there's honey inside. We know it's sweet, like we're reading these pastimes, and the gopis are saying these wonderful things about Krishna and the relationship with Krishna, but we're not in it yet. We're not experiencing it yet. So how to experience? That mercy is required. That mercy comes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Lord Nityananda, understanding the Shastras, the literatures left by the 6 Goswamis. Then it will become possible. So we need to do a lot of chanting and a lot of spreading of the Krishna consciousness movement so that we can one day actually enter into these wonderful pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada, although it appeared as though he was had the position of an acharya, and Srila Prabhupada was developing the Krishna consciousness movement and maintaining the devotees. In his heart of heart, he's in Braj, in his relationship with Krishna. What that is, he didn't reveal. He didn't expose. Nobody was ready, right? And once Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna Das, his god brother, Achinchana Krishna Das, Babaji Maharaj, a short little man, Bengali man. He could do kirtan for hours and hours, right? And when the devotees, sometimes he would come to Mayapur, he would meet Srila Prabhupada, and devotees would try to touch his feet. And he said, no, I'm nothing. But if you hear, just by his plain mridanga, no harmonium, never touched a thing, only khol and kartals. And he would play the khol and the kartals in such an amazing way. All the hearts of the devotees were lifted in ecstasy. Kinchana Krishna Das Baba. So Srila Prabhupada said to the devotees, you don't know who he is, you don't know who I am. There's so much for us to learn and to enter into. And the only thing that's keeping us from going through that door of understanding more is our material desires. This is the blockage. Like, when the heart, they say it's got 100% blockage, 90%, he's got to have an open heart surgery immediately, otherwise finished. Right? Blockage. We got that blockage. It's material desires. And material desires are keeping us from going further and to actually understand the pastimes of Radha and Krishna and Vrindavan. So there's 2 brothers, Krishna and Balaram, that were in Braj. And they came again in this Kali Yuga as Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda is very, very merciful. He can remove all your material desires. When Srila Prabhupada installed Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan, the next day he was on a morning walk on what that time was called Chatikar Road. Now it's called Bhaktivedanta Swami Marg. The Kripalu Maharaj's people tried to get the name changed to Kripalu Maharaj Marg. But we said, hey, wait a minute, it's already named Bhaktivedanta Swami Marg. Right? And there was a big fight up in Lucknow, back and forth, the devotees and the people from Kripalu, and finally the devotees won. They kept the name Bhaktivedanta Swami Marg. But in those days, when Srila Prabhupada used to walk down, it was called Chatikar Road, and you could see on either side there was nothing. There's a video of Srila Prabhupada on his morning walk. He used to come outside the Krishna Balaram temple, walk right for a long way, nothing, only fields, only fields. And now, there's no fields, it's just development, all the way up to the highway on Chatikar Road, Bhaktivedanta Swami Marg. So things change as time goes on. But one thing that doesn't change, and Srila Prabhupada mentioned, was because we had just installed Krishna and Balaram, and he said, now you have Balaram. Now you have Balaram. Balaram is very merciful. If you pray to Balaram, he can remove all your material desires. Brajenda Nandana che, Sachi Sutta Hoyle se, Balaram Hoyle Nitai. Balaram is Lord Nityananda. So Lord Nityananda can remove all the material desires. He can remove the blockage. He can do that non-evasive open heart surgery, clear out all the blockage so that we can actually be proper recipients of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, understand the literature of the six Goswamis, so that we can enter into these pastimes and appreciate them fully. Hare Krishna. Any questions?
So how do I develop this taste for chanting? Probably said, by chanting. And we have to keep chanting more and more and more, and try to become attached to the holy name, no matter how many anarthas we may have inside ourselves. And gradually they will become purified. I was thinking that when we were speaking about the Gopis and their love for Krishna. Because even when Krishna was gone in Dwarka, they were always thinking, what is Krishna doing? Oh, he's there and he's forgetting about us. He has all these queens. But that was their ecstasy, that was their love and Krishna, that they were always adored Krishna in so many different ways. And thank you for the nice call.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, bhima Prabhu. You mentioned that devotees sometimes they may think they are in that space of understanding these very esoteric and deep pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, and artificially, place himself in that position. And you also mentioned that Srila Rupa Goswami gave us the key for obtaining the type of mercy that is required to actually get there. And you explained, as Srila Rupa Goswami says, is lowliam, is this intense eagerness. Now, devotees who made the mistake of thinking that, I'm already there or I'm there, they also show at least or experience some type of intense desire or that Lolian type of, at least, appears like that, and I would say likely they're experiencing something like that, eagerness. So what makes, where is the divide space, that you have eagerness, you have sincerity, but, where does it goes left and instead of right,
Keeping to the instructions of the spiritual master, always in the focus. In Los Angeles, there was a group of devotees they called it the Gopi Baba Club, back there. And it became a kind of a deviation because they weren't following Srila Prabhupada's program. And his program was Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy name, going out on Harinam Sankirtan or distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. They were just going to sit and talk about, Krishna's relationship with the gopis all day, which they weren't qualified to do. So keeping in focus the instructions and the program that, Srila Prabhupada has given us, I think that's the kind of rudder that we need in our spiritual progress to make sure we're headed progressively in the right direction. That will make all the difference. But you can add to that, maybe. Shubhakrit, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, how are you?
Good. Nice to see you, bro. As Prabhu mentioned, like in Vrindavan is 100%, other places it's 1%, whatever devotion you do. And whatever offense we do, it's 1%. And in Vrindavan it's 100%.
So take shelter of Mayapur. Take shelter of the Panchatattva and chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Because whether you're offensive or inoffensive, you're making progress by taking shelter of their holy names.
So which is better, 1%, 100%?
No percent. Don't take a chance. You can't, Prabhupada said, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was quoted by Srila Prabhupada, you can't buy a ticket to go to Vrindavan. Why? Because it's a condition of the heart. Like I was saying, although Srila Prabhupada was doing many things, preaching, guiding the devotees, giving classes, in his heart of hearts, he was serving Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. That's why when Advaita Acharya saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu, he was trying to get to Vrindavan, he thought he was there, but he actually was still in Mayapur. And when he saw Advaita Acharya, then he realized he's been tricked. This is not Vrindavan. And Advaita Acharya said, my Lord, wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada never left Vrindavan, although externally it looked like he did. But he was there in his heart of hearts serving Krishna. So making our heart a suitable place for Vrindavan to enter and for us to be in Vrindavan. That's why we're performing these activities. Worshipping the deity, performing Harinam Sankirtan, right? This is to condition our heart. It needs a reconditioning. It needs a redevelopment. What is that? When they redo a building, a gut rehab. Gut rehab. Our hearts need that, gut rehab. take out all the unnecessary things and just fill it up with Krishna Bhakti.
Hare Krishna, thank you for your class, Bhima Prabhu, and thank you for being here trying to cut the Prabhu. I've known you many times, seen you many times. But before I ask my question, I would just like to say, offer my gratitude to Jitendra Prabhu, because today is his birthday, actually.
Jitendra's birthday?
Yeah, today is Jitendra Prabhu's birthday.
Jitendra Prabhu ki jai.
And I think Shankar Pandit Prabhu was the first Prabhupada disciple I met when I entered the temple, but Jitendra's, I spent the most time with him over the last, I can't believe it, 20 years. So my question is kind of related to Jitendra Prabhu, because he's been the most prominent devotee in this community for almost 50 years. And he's considered like the maintenance person. He saved the temple so much. And so my question is regarding maintenance of our Krishna consciousness. And it's very hard to maintain something unless you find it fun. We may find like kirtan fun, but japa, reading. So what are some steps we could do to, because unless something is fun or we find the fun in it, then we have a hard time to do it. So how can we find the fun in other devotional activities other than like kirtan, harmonium, mridanga, etc.? What's the method to find fun? Enthusiasm.
Well, there's, even in the material world, there's instances of people getting together and like in a small village, farming community, even in America, they get together and they do a barn raising. All the different, people of the community, they come and build a barn for one of the members of the community, right? It's work. But because they do it all together in a communal way, it becomes fun. So working together on different things, whether it's maintenance in the temple or planning out a prasadam distribution or harinam, because we do them together, they don't seem laborious, they become fun. So that association is important. Associating with devotees that are endeavoring to become Krishna conscious, that will make things fun. So there's different, we relate with different devotees in different ways. There's some devotees that are not as advanced. There's some devotees on an equal level. There's devotees that are more advanced. And we have these different relationships with them. And if we try to develop those relationships, then things become, it's all about relationship anyway. And if we develop those relationships, then things will become, like you said, they'll become fun. Is it time? Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.